One of the most frustrating transport black spots in Sydney is the gap between Epping and Parramatta, currently only bridged by the 550 bus, taking 25 minutes to travel the 8.5 km straight line distance. When considering traffic delays, often the fastest way to travel between the two centres is to catch a train to Strathfield and then change to head west. Even the upcoming Parramatta Light Rail project fails to help the situation, with a combined tram and bus journey supposedly taking slightly longer than just remaining on a bus. Demand certainly exists for a proper railway along this corridor, and we almost got one. The original plan for the Epping to Chatswood rail link saw the line continue further, which I'll get to in a second. Obviously, this didn't happen, but internal documents reveal Transport for New South Wales continues to work on a potential new railway, the new Cumberland line. The new Cumberland line is not the first modern proposal for an underground railway between Epping and Parramatta. In 1998, the government of the day announced the Parramatta Rail Link, which would have seen a new west fork to a double-tracked Carlingford line before entering a tunnel to run to Epping and Chatswood. Services would run from Westmead to St Leonards, using a planned additional 2 platforms there. Maps at the time showed this proposed connection, and when the Epping to Chatswood section of the line was built, stub tunnels were included west of Epping to future-proof a connection to Parramatta. Unfortunately, this project fell through due to concerns over the high costs of the project, compounded by low patronage projections. A Parramatta to Epping connection is now impossible with this arrangement, with the Carlingford line upgrade becoming part of Stage 1 of Parramatta Light Rail, and the stub tunnels at Epping are now used as the mainline metro tunnels towards Cherrybrook. Platforms 1 and 4 at St Leonards never opened, although there are some possible future uses for those roads, which maybe I'll make a future video on. The current internal proposals for the new Cumberland line, which from here on out I'll call the NCL, include a new tunnel from Epping to Merrylands via Carlingford and Parramatta Square, then running along the existing main South Line and South West rail links to Leppington, continuing on a possible extension to Bradfield. The line would thus provide a single connection between the Aerotropolis, Parramatta and Epping. Service patterns would be drastically changed, with the Richmond branch being served by T1 only and all T2 trains running to Parramatta or beyond. T5 trains, if it remains a suburban line, not a metro, would run at a base frequency of 6 trains per hour, or every 10 minutes, from Bradfield to Epping, increasing to every 5 minutes in the peak. A trip from Parramatta to Epping would take as little as 9 minutes, a saving of 16 minutes. The main downside of this arrangement would be a complicated interchange at Epping when coming from Chatswood, most likely requiring multiple escalators to get between the M1 and NCL platforms. Epping may also require enlargement to accommodate additional passenger numbers. I doubt there is enough demand for a station between Leppington and Bradfield. However, whilst the area is still greenfield, land should be secured for a potential future infill station at Rossmore. More interesting are the locations of possible stations in the underground section. The preferred corridors for Greater Parramatta map show the alignment, shown here in yellow, sharply turning east after Parramatta, so potential station sites could include North Parramatta, something in the broader Dundas-Rydalmere region, then Carlingford. An interchange with either Rydalmere Wharf or Parramatta Light Rail Stage 2 would be unlikely, as this would force the route to be very circuitous. I don't think a second interchange with Parramatta Light Rail Stage 1 would be particularly useful, given that anyone on the light rail line can either travel north a few stops on the fast section to Carlingford and then change, or travel south to Parramatta Square. Thus, an interchange at Dundas seems unlikely. The region may not even get a station at all, as doing so would necessitate upzoning the area, which is currently entirely low-density residential with some reasonably isolating geographical features that limit the catchment. Eliminating this station would decrease the cost, construction timeline, and journey times. A station at Carlingford would ideally be a mined cavern directly underneath the tram stop, however these are expensive, so an alternative site nearby might be chosen where a full station box could be excavated. Interchanges with trams should be simple, ideally not requiring any out-of-station interchanges along roads. Epping would have to be a mined cavern station owing to space constraints, just like the M1 platforms. If the line is built as a suburban one, there's a possibility that the line will connect to the existing Main North, as the Epping to Chatswood line did, allowing trains to run to Hornsby. However, it is unlikely given the additional cost and capacity limitations of the Main North. Arguments can be made for the NCL to be either metro or suburban, however I believe a hybrid of the two would provide the best service for the lowest cost. Future conversion to driverless operation would be very costly, involving new corridor security, rebuilding platforms, and a complete replacement of the signalling system. It would also necessitate a new freight line to connect to Yonora Distribution Centre, at least one new platform at Cabramatta for terminating T3 trains, reworking of the Y-Link and both Glenfield junctions, and it would also require Sydney Trains to build a new yard to compensate for the loss of Rossmore. It would also remove key flexibility. When the East Hills line closes for maintenance, trains to Campbelltown and beyond can continue to run via either Granville or Sefton. On the other hand, running the line with regular double-deck rolling stock would lead to unnecessarily long journey times. A potential hybrid operating model would see a fleet of new trains, maybe double-decker, maybe not, that's definitely beyond the scope of this video, with at least the retention of drivers, but perhaps not guards, bear with me here. ETCS Level 2 cab signalling, watch my Tangara video to find out more about that, and automatic train operation, video coming soon maybe possibly, will have been introduced on the suburban network by the time the NCL opens, if it ever does. So at the very least, trains will be able to run automated through the tunnel section, reducing journey times and increasing potential headway to as high as every 2 minutes. Automation would also allow things like platform screen doors. Out in the open on the existing T5, existing signalling would have to be retained for freight trains. However, automation could still be provided for NCL trains only, further reducing journey time. Re-signalling the whole line for full ETCS Level 1 and 2 would also increase reliability, removing antiquated track circuits which are currently a major contributor to infrastructure failures. Building the line as a hybrid one has other benefits, such as flexibility with other lines in case of track work or disruptions, for example allowing T8 trains to terminate at Leppington, and continued use by Sydney Trains of Rossmore Yard. It appears that Transport intend to turn the NCL into a more or less isolated line, reducing the chance of delays spreading onto it from other lines. The only interlining would occur with the T3 between Cabramatta and Liverpool, and occasionally at Glenfield when intercity and regional trains run through the centre tracks. T2 services would all continue to Parramatta, with the possibility of these trains running to Blacktown, providing local service along this section. The 2056 transport strategy shows the T2 running exclusively up the Richmond branch, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. The new Cumberland line represents a long-awaited and desperately needed solution to one of Sydney's largest transport challenges, slashing travel time and improving experience and capacity for tens of thousands of people every day. It will be interesting to see what happens with this project. Personally, I don't think it'll be announced in this term of government, but it is listed internally as a project of relatively high priority, so it's anyone's guess. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing.